Hey guys, thanks for joining us here at Success Leaves Clues. Excited to have you back. And today we're going to be talking to Steve Zemo. Steve is a real estate developer in the Ridgefield area, hugely successful, and he has a whole lot to share with us today. So thanks for being here, man.
You're welcome. Thanks for the invitation.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm honored you're here.
And the tour.
Yeah.
Very
Oh,
impressive.
great. Thank you.
Very
Thank you.
impressive.
Thank you. Yes.
Very impressive.
We kind of like it here. So let's kick it off, Steve. Tell me, so how did you get into this business? How did this all begin?
This is a great story
Okay.
because I did not get into it because of a family connection. Didn't happen. So I take a junior year elective at Boston College.
Okay.
And it's real estate. Guy comes over from Harvard, teaches the class, and I thought, this is it. This is why I've been sitting through 2 years of finance. I was a finance major, accounting, economics, macro, micro, and all the other stuff that BC was throwing at us. So because of that class, a fellow classmate and myself said, there's a demand at BC for off-campus housing. Why don't we pool our resources
Wow.
and buy a funky house? So we went to our professor and said, we have this idea. He loved it. And we looked around, knock on a door of a local agent. That was before Keller Williams. I would have been there.
Appreciate that.
And she says, you go to BC? Not interested. And I went back to my dorm room and I thought I need a better plan. So I come up with a plan. I go to broker number 2 and I said, I want to look at some houses. I'm getting married and our my in-laws are going to buy us a house. All bogus. So anyway.
Wow.
So she was like, oh, well, that gives the story credibility. So we go off and we find a 5-bedroom rundown house in Newton Highlands.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
Not quite walk distance to campus,
Right.
but an easy ride. Go back to the professor. He helped us out. We had to wait until I was 21 so I could get a mortgage.
Wow. Amazing.
So we go to BC. They register us as an approved off-campus housing. We go and buy used furniture in downtown Boston. They were closing the Statler Hilton at the time. We bought these desks, dressers.
Good opportunity. Yeah.
Right, it was
Yeah.
great. All the stuff arrived. We were ready. People showed up. They couldn't believe they got to live in a cool house with
Absolutely.
nobody over 21 overseeing their operations.
Right.
And we did
Jeez,
it.
that's
we
amazing.
did it, and it was it lasted for a couple of years.
Okay.
And then we decided to sell it because our lives had gone in different directions.
Sure.
And we put it on the market, but not before spinning off the backyard as an approved lot.
Good for you. Okay.
it
I knew this would
started-
be an amazing story.
It started early. We sold it to a couple who was getting married, and we went down to at the day of the closing, we went down to downtown Boston, sat in a bar like good BC students that we are with our scotch on the rocks.
There you go.
And next day the house burned down.
Oh, no.
They were doing something with scraping paint and whatever, so there's a little bit of an investigation.
Oh, my gosh.
And I thought that's the end of that chapter for that house.
Wow, absolutely.
Anyway, I wanted to share that
That's
story.
great. I love it.
So-
I know the origin of Steve Zemo.
Right,
That's amazing,
right.
man. I
That's
love
how it started.
is
Yes,
great.
using my room and board money,
Wow.
extra money, and my father said, "Don't you dare do this." And I said, "Oh, I'm doing it."
Yeah,
I'm
good for
doing it."
you.
So-
Good for you.
Yes.
Wow, that is
Anyway,
awesome. I
yes.
love that. I love that. So talk to me, let's talk about scale and responsibility a little bit. So you're one of the largest taxpayers in Ridgefield with all the properties that you own. How does that level of ownership change the way you think about responsibility to the town, to the economy? Because you're a huge driver of that in the Ridgefield area.
Right. I am the 4th largest taxpayer.
Okay.
And I have to tell you, when that all started, posting it and reading it when we had a newspaper in Ridgefield, I thought,
right.
this is kind of invasion here. People
Yeah.
don't need to know all this, but it is a fact.
Sure.
But in the context of your question, I think what's important is that not only am I a taxpayer, forgetting the number for a moment, but I live in Ridgefield.
Yes.
And I've lived in Ridgefield for over 50 years.
Wow.
And so I work and live in Ridgefield.
Yes, sir.
And I volunteer in Ridgefield.
Yes, you do.
I served on our board of select persons for over 11 years. So the live, work, volunteer, I think kind of sets what you think about your town and how you're going to treat it. And the decisions you make are not you can't get away with it.
Sure.
You are making them because you love it here. This is your place.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you have made some great decisions, and you have really changed the face of Ridgefield for the good, for real good. I mean, I, as an agent almost 22 years ago, watched as every new development was popping up, and yes, it was a Steve Zemo one. Yes,
right.
very impressive, and they're amazing to this day. So you've done.
Thank you.
You've accomplished a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
So thinking like a developer, when you evaluate a property today, what do you see that most people, including some experienced investors out there, may not see? They may completely miss.
I think that lens is different from developer to developer because they're bringing their experience, their quantitative needs, which might vary from mine, and their creativity level, which certainly varies from developer to developer, as we all know. So recently, I'll use two examples in response to our marketplace in Ridgefield and how things were changing.
Sure.
I have an empty restaurant tenant. We don't need to go into the history of the restaurant, but it's empty.
Gotcha.
And I just want to get a new tenant in there. So I get the word out in that industry and say, got turnkey operation, just take the key, run the restaurant. Great opportunity. I expected we'd get some people, young chefs, tattooed folks from Brooklyn who want to come up and say, yeah, we're going to, we just won this contest and we want to open a restaurant. Here's the key. I don't have to buy anything. After about the 7th or 8th showing, and it was during the summer, so I at that point would sit out on the patio for the place with my Ross's coffee and let them go wander around. Just wander around. You want to open refrigerator doors, knock yourself out.
Sure.
I've been there, done that.
Yes, you have.
But what that did for me is I would sit there and I kept looking back at the building, and finally one day I said, wait a minute, the universe is talking to you here. They're asking like, but can you fix this? Will you be an investor? Let's turn this into 8 studio apartments. The building was horizontal. Bing, 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 bing. I walked through it enough. I knew the building. I built it in 1984, for God's sakes.
Wow, awesome.
So we can do that. So we had a few more showings, but during the showings, I'd sit there with my little sketching this out. Doors would be here, windows.
You knew exactly where
I
it was
knew
going.
what it was going to
Yes.
look like. And at work, I would just say, okay, what size are these things going to be? They're going to be kind of micro studios. But what do people want? What do our Ridgefield apartment customers expect?
Sure.
They want a walk-in tile shower. They want a washer and dryer. They want a dishwasher. They really want heat and utilities included. They got parking. We know that. It was a restaurant.
Right.
So when we crammed all that in there and we listened to a lot of naysayers, including maybe an architect who said, I don't know about this, it worked.
Yeah.
Because it also had to rent below $1,500 a month, including all utilities, water, electric, not cable.
I know of these apartments. I've never seen them, but I hear they're amazing.
Well, you know what? And I said, well, we're going to get first generation people who are just getting out of college, who need us. They don't care.
Absolutely.
They don't own furniture. They're not worried about, whatever. We even staged it.
Wow.
We bought little furniture. With
Great.
We did. They were all gone before we got a CO. But interesting enough, it wasn't just young folks. We had our share of young folks. It was a senior citizen who wanted this apartment so she could be near her kids, but she was spending most of her time with her kids.
Okay.
But she needed to go home once in a while.
Got it.
And then
That works.
yeah. So and then folks that just I'm 40-year-old who works at a dentist's office. This is what she could afford.
Yeah.
$1,200 to $1,500 a month. It met a need. It probably looked at that property differently than other developers would. So I think that maybe answers.
Yeah, it does.
that.
Well, certainly you had this restaurant and you had a vision, you saw another opportunity because of your vast experience and so much development. It was a no-brainer for you to make that make sense.
It kind of was. And that wouldn't have been a market maybe a few years ago, but with the rising rents of one bedrooms, inexpensive studios are hard to produce. And we already own the shell, the site work, The windows, we owned it. So it was able to go in and just plug and play with it.
And there are 8 of them, is that what you said?
There are 8 of them.
Nice, good for you.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
great.
it was
I love
fun.
that.
It was fun to do.
A little bit off script here,
Yep.
here, Steve. So Ridgefield Apartments, kind of the hub of your business, right?
Yep.
Fair to say?
Yep.
Tell us about that. When did that actually start, and where is it today? I mean, what is the full scope of Ridgefield Apartments?
Well, we've kind of changed the name to Ridgefield Property Group.
Okay.
Just a couple of years ago. It was confusing for some folks because now we have a storage facility
Yeah.
and we have a lot of offices and we have the Ridgefield Health and Wellness Center and we have obviously a lot of apartments.
Yeah.
We still are, even though people are starting to catch up, we still are the largest provider of rental housing in Ridgefield.
Yes, absolutely.
We also are the largest provider of affordable housing. We have 26 deed restricted affordable units
Okay.
that we built as part of the approval process. But I'd like to point out that we contributed those to the community.
Yes.
We didn't get any grants. We didn't get any tax breaks. We didn't get any subsidies.
Right.
So, and we pay taxes on them.
You responsibly made it happen.
We made it happen, and we're happy to do that. I wish we could do more. I would maybe like to grow Ridgefield Apartments in that direction in the future. It is a different world, the world of affordable, and nonprofit would be the
Yes.
corporate entity.
Correct.
So that's where we are now. We've been doing this, since the 80s it started. Then all my projects started at, I was never a buy, build, sell. That was a different career path
Sure.
as far as I was concerned.
Yeah.
I was more of a buy, impart value,
Yep.
hold.
That's my next question for you. Yeah,
okay.
that's been my vision, my understanding of your business.
Yeah.
That impressed me. So as a developer and buying property long term rather than just transacting, let's say, what's your philosophy on the patience required to do that and the compounding of real estate?
It does take patience.
Yes, sir.
A typical new building is a 2-year deal.
Okay.
I mean, from the time you conceive it to get it approved, to get it engineered and built, and then bid and then built and leased. You need to be patient. I would say that that's the key word. You run with it. You get to the 10-year mark where your debt is down, but your mortgage opens up, so you need to pay attention to that.
Of course, sure.
And you let real estate do its magic, whether it's with appreciation
Yes, sir.
and then the benefits of depreciation, whether it's a rising market and they don't all rise.
No. And you've
but you
seen
run
plenty
with
of
it.
markets.
I've seen them all.
You've seen them all.
Yes, that's
Exact.
right.
Yes,
I've seen
absolutely.
them all. Right,
Yeah.
right.
And you've withstood all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a very conservative investor.
Yes.
I'm not interested in, to me, it's more the sport of it, the fun of it, the getting it done on time and on budget. It's not about total accumulation of more or flipping. Look, we're not a REIT. We don't need to keep performing.
Right.
We are a little world, and that was a conscious decision early in my
It's funny
career
that you say little world.
that I was going to stay in Ridgefield, Connecticut.
Right.
And people would call and say, we got this property for you in Danbury or Wilton. And I'd say, well, that's intriguing. I'm not interested.
Right.
I'm staying in Ridgefield. Why is that? I don't know. It feels right. Why do I want to drive to Danbury? I live in Ridgefield. And if I sit around long enough, something will walk in that office door. And truly, that's the way it happens.
Wow, that's amazing.
Off market deals.
See, you're being tempted by the Danbury deal, the Bethel deal, the whatever Stanford deal for you. That probably, in hindsight, would have been a distraction for the path that you were on, right? We talk about really focusing in what is your genius, right? What are you doing right? What is working for you? And for you, it was that Ridgefield focus, and it hasn't done you wrong.
No, and fortunately, Ridgefield has done well for itself.
Yes.
I'd like to think that we all contributed to that. Sure. People who live and work in Ridgefield, whether they've moved on or they're just arriving, it's a good market to be in.
Yes, sir.
Right now, the commercial side of things is quiet in terms of opportunities, and so you just take it easy.
Yeah, of
you
course.
be patient is the
Yes,
word you use.
Yeah, that's
right.
a key word. Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
I love that.
That's right.
I love that. So, at the level you operate, I mean, risk looks very different as it does to most folks. How do you assess and manage risk when you're making decisions involving millions of dollars in the projects that you have?
Look, it is a lot of money. It's a lot of moving parts.
Yes, sir.
Need to pay attention to micro and macro.
Okay.
Look, we can't control interest rates.
No.
And when a mortgage opens up, it's going to be 10 years on the day. It's going to open up.
Yep.
You're subject to interest rates that day.
Yeah.
So you need to pay attention to that. You need to pay attention to all of your expenses. And then at the micro level, we need to look at how's our market changing. The studios would probably be an example because that wouldn't have been something I would have been doing 10 years ago.
Right.
There was no need for that.
Yeah.
People wanted 600 to 800 square foot, one bedrooms at entry level.
Right.
So paying attention to micro, macro. I've never been an over leveraged person. I mean, our banks love us for that.
Of course.
But don't over leverage to get more.
Sure.
And if you have to, if things go bad like they did in '08, then you just need to get creative and maybe rebrand some properties.
So thinking back again, a little off script for us, back to '08 as an example. That was the crash. That was a tough market, the toughest in most of our lives. How did you pivot in that? Where were you with projects and what was going on in your world then?
Two interesting anecdotes to that. We had a project that was approved at 76 Governor Street,
Oh, yeah.
and it was ready to roll.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden it happened.
Right.
And we did hesitate and we stopped for about a week.
Oh.
And then
Okay.
we just thought, you know what? We've come this far with this. We believe in the project. We believe in the community. This isn't going to be forever. Let's just roll with it.
Sure.
And the side benefit to that decision was that suddenly material costs were coming down.
Ah, there you go.
And then at that, and
That was a blessing.
That was a blessing. And a minor little anecdote in a rental at that point in time, that was '08. So that point in time, we were still doing mica kitchen cabinet tops rather.
Okay.
Suddenly, granite came down to where it was like, oh,
Wow.
they're all granite now. They're
Wow,
all
nice.
quarry. You know,
Nice.
it was
So there was a benefit.
there was an absolute benefit to the decision.
Yes.
But the other one that took a little more work was what we called Copsill Common.
Yes.
And people were coming in with their keys saying, I'm done.
Wow.
Whether it was an office, whether it was an exercise place.
Oh, yeah. Of
And
course.
at one point, we had an empty building
That was a
on two levels.
rampant problem, yeah.
And so we thought, well, okay, we're not going to sell this place because there's no market for it.
Yep.
We need to reinvent it, rebrand it. And at that point, people were really beginning to shop online.
Okay. Okay.
And we thought, that's going to hurt the long term here.
Yeah.
So we want not shop online, folks.
Right.
We're going to do food.
Ah,
And that's how the marketplace got
Wow.
branded. It's food. It
such
said,
a great marketplace. Yeah,
right? We
yes.
need a baker, we need a liquor store, we need a takeout place, we need the person that survived all of that. And this is a shout out to Barbara at Southwest Cafe for being there through it all for 38 years.
Yeah, she's been there forever.
38 years. So we kind of worked around. She never missed a beat. She was still working through that, worked hard.
Sure.
But we went from having large furniture store, exercise place,
I remember.
all of that, to
I call it my little Europe in Ridgefield.
yeah.
I just love
So
it downtown.
Yes, the
Love it.
organic market.
I can go shopping, everything's
Yes.
there, and go back home and fill my pantry.
That's
It's
right.
great. Yeah,
That's
I
right.
love it.
So and then the lower level became. That was a space without windows, except the west windows. But the rest of it doesn't have any windows.
Right.
And I thought, okay, we're going to divide this up. There are people, therapists, offering services who want a decent sized room. They want a flexible lease. They want one bill a month. They don't want utilities. Divide it up. So I put tape on the floor and I went down there and I rented most of them with tape on the floor without windows.
Yeah.
And because we branded it as the Ridgefield Health and Wellness Center.
and that's-
If you were selling insurance, you were not allowed here.
Gotcha.
You were only allowed, and
Interesting.
we've had people that are still there.
Oh, I know you do. Yeah. Yeah.
So
absolutely.
So anyway,
That's
stay on top of the detail, but also know that you have to change.
Yeah, but again, you pushed through that, and it was a pivotal moment. You said you only paused for a week,
Right.
back in that time frame, right? But with your experience of the different markets that you've lived through, that we've lived through, you kind of had an eye on a path that you were going to go down, and it made sense. You knew what potentially could work, right?
Yeah, I didn't want to make a short-term decision.
Right.
That let's stop this, let's reevaluate it. It was like, how bad can this be? Everything is in place and paid for. The soft costs, the
Right, right.
architectural.
Yes.
So let's just run with it.
Yeah,
and we
yeah.
did, and somebody was looking out
I'm
for
so
us
glad
in
you
that.
did. It's awesome.
Right,
It's
right.
all awesome.
Yes.
So developers, you're a developer, right? Often face resistance with towns and municipalities. How have you learned to work effectively with local government? I mean, you've been on local government, but how did you really make that sing? Because you are the best at that. I mean, I hear this from folks in the town. So
Well,
how
it
does that
drives
work?
me crazy when people complain about the people who work for the town or the volunteers on the boards.
Right.
Honestly, know your regulations.
Of course.
If you're going to play a sport, know the rules.
Yes, sir.
If you're going to play in our arena,
Yeah.
know the regulations. Don't just, I didn't know that. That's not a.
Don't even venture in.
That's not
Yeah,
a real
you have to
answer.
know, yes.
So these folks just want to do their job, and they do a good job at what. And the volunteers just want to serve and get reelected. They don't want to run into problems. So know your regulations and just be honest, be transparent. But if you're going to promise something or you get a project with conditions of approval, meet those conditions of approval. Don't try and manipulate the conditions of approval. So then you don't have a problem. There's no problems.
Right.
Live with your reputation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what you're building.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so-
I hear you. And again, like I said, I've only heard wonderful things about working with
That's
you.
good to
and,
know.
and everything you do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they don't call
absolutely.
and tell us that.
No, of course not. God forbid. No. So we talked about this. What market downturn or challenge most tested your conviction? Was that 08?
Oh, that was the one, and it'll never happen again. I hope.
Yeah, no, it better not. No, I don't.
Because
think
you always sit back and go, okay, what's going to do it this time?
I know, right?
Is it the collapse of this sector? That was so startling that it just happened so fast and so furious and so deep.
It was crazy.
Right, and and we can only speculate about now, but it doesn't. 08 was the one.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that was a scare. I was still an agent. I haven't been an agent for almost 11 years now, Steve, but just managing our offices. And I can remember, watching the MLS. And when that crash happened, I mean, there were months when like a handful of homes would transact in Fairfield County. It was so scary. It was brutal.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, and every one of those the transactions that didn't happen affect a family, affect the agents.
Yeah, the domino effect is crazy.
Huge.
Yes,
it is
was.
huge.
So our podcast here is called Success Leaves Clues. So, success does leave clues. So if someone wanted to follow a similar path to you, very few people can fill your shoes, owning and developing meaningful property, et cetera, what mindset shift is required before any strategy even matters? What do you think? What would be the advice you'd give?
I would say that you need to be practical. You need to go into this with a business plan.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
You need to just say, okay, what's my working capital? What am I going to do? What's my role in this? Am I going to get a hammer out and build something? Or if you don't have that skill, then are you adding sweat equity to this?
Right.
What's your role with it? And be prepared for setbacks and changes. And
Be prepared financially?
yeah,
Yes.
financially.
Gotcha.
Because it's not all going to be
Easy, smooth,
and
no.
so when I started, the only thing I could contribute was painting.
Okay.
Because I have no mechanical skills.
Right.
I always respect people that do,
Sure.
whether they do it professionally or they do it at home in their workshop. So I thought, well, look, I mean, I'm going to paint or I'm going to rip out the old kitchen. I was a lot younger. But so if you can add sweat equity to it, that's terrific. And if not, then you just need to. And then the other side of the coin is, how do you know? How do you begin learning? And I tell people, go become an agent.
Yes, sir.
If nothing else, take the course.
Totally. And I didn't pay him to say that. That's
Right,
really a
take
good
the
advice.
course because I'm going to have my son do that this summer.
Great.
Because if you're going to do this, you need to, and I don't know that he's ever going to be an agent, but he needs to know that, have that fundamental knowledge.
Yeah, yeah.
And then start going to, whenever you see a workshop now, they're online or whatever. I mean, I remember going to a workshop dozens of years ago on a 1031 exchange.
Oh, interesting.
And I wanted to do it when I was selling property in Stamford and buying something in Ridgefield. I went to my attorney. He said he didn't know what I was talking about.
Wow.
It was it was one of these workshops that was pretty up forefront. And I thought, well, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to save this. And I tried to explain it, and as best I could, and I did a good job because we implemented the exchange. You know, and I don't know that I was 30 at that point.
Wow. Good for you.
Anyway.
I guess a late bloomer. I just went through that.
Did you?
Rick and I, we just divested of a bunch of our investment properties in 1031, exchanged all of them at once. It was like getting a master's degree in 1031. And it was a huge learning curve for us.
Yes.
So kudos to you for
But
doing
also
that back then.
huge savings.
Yes, sir.
And working with your money.
It's necessary. Absolutely.
Yeah.
To have it make sense. Yeah.
And for folks that are attempting it the first time, it's not all that easy. You need to be patient again.
Oh, yes.
Because you need all that match to come together. Yes, it's at a facilitator's office.
Correct.
But the buy and the sell and all of that.
The intermediary. I mean, what we learned was just a huge learning curve, and there were some bumps in the road.
Yeah.
Not so smooth, but we get through it. You have the right people advising you. But back then, you kind of did your homework and knew what to do. So I'm impressed.
Thank you.
Yes.
It was fun to do, and
Yeah.
it was, and that's the way. If you're going to launch something, it's got to be fun.
Absolutely.
You got to love it.
Good for you.
And you need to pay attention.
I can tell you have fun when you
I do.
love what you do.
I do. Yep.
So years from now, Steve, how do you
Yeah.
want to be remembered as for what you've done in Ridgefield and accomplished? What does that look like?
I think I'd like people to remember us that for a word we use in our office, and for each of our little properties, we try and instill community in that property.
Love that.
We, in our residential, they might only be 16 units in the building, but they have a community room,
Yeah.
and they
Oh,
use it.
that's awesome.
And it's available for rental for your birthday when your family's coming, or a holiday. So community is important, and we recognize we know that we need a passive role in it.
Okay.
I got a great note just the other day, 3 days ago,
Okay.
from a woman in our community whose mom had been a tenant of ours for 12
Wow.
years.
Wow.
And she passed. And she wrote, and she used the word saying, thank you, because this was my mother's home and her community.
Wow.
And the community room on a Saturday night was full of cronies
Yeah, yeah.
who were down there having a good time
Wow.
without having to leave the building.
That's amazing.
So, and we also try and instill that, you mentioned, we were talking about the marketplace
Mm-hmm.
and how you like shopping there. But, we took part of the parking area and we have bistro tables.
Yeah, it's great.
So you can grab a coffee from one place or a
My
sandwich.
Europe. It's my little Europe. Yeah.
You can sit there, or you can, you know what? I'm sitting there often. I see people just pull up and they didn't buy anything.
Right, they just wanna
and
hang
that's,
out.
That's cool. This is part of the town.
Yeah.
You're bringing something. You want to sit here and just hang out a little bit. So I think we want to just be known for community, and we also never like to refer to, if you're renting an apartment from us, as in a rental unit. It's really someone's home.
Yes, sir.
And we need to treat it that way. Whether it's giving them notice that we're going into the apartment, the way we keep it, the way we keep their common areas. So we'd like to be known as someone who respected people's rights in their own home.
I love that.
Yeah. And then I like to think that we contributed to the quality of life in Ridgefield and to the diversity of our housing stock, and that we were good neighbors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great for the future vision, but I can tell you you're already there because I hear all these things about you. So
Ah.
you're very impressive in what you've done, and that sense of community and caring about the community. Yeah, I mean, Ridgefield is the town that I love and I've been in for 28 years, partially because of you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So, guys, success leaves clues. Steve Zemo has shared with us some amazing quotes and experiences through his tenure as a developer, and you heard it from the man. I mean, you have any other questions, just let us know. But thank you for sharing everything.
Certainly, if you have any questions, let them know.
Sure.
I'm happy to. I do this all the time. People will just call and ask about where's the best place to put mom, or I want to get started, or how do you do those projects? And I tell them as it is, good and bad, so they don't lead anybody down a trail.
I love that. I'll tell you, one of our mantras here at Keller Williams is we like to always come from contribution. That's you. That is you, my friend. Always. I really
Play it
admire
back.
you for that.
Play it back.
Thank you,
Yep.
sir.
All right. Thank
Appreciate
you.
you.
Thank
Yeah,
you
it was
for
great.
the invite.
Absolutely.
Yep.
All right, guys. See ya.